Welcome to another edition of the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. I'm Donald Grodoff, family coach with FamilyOCD.com and FocusedHealthyFamily.com. In the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast series, I delve into the hidden characteristics of OCD, anxiety, and anxiety disorders. The things that most people don't see, that are behind closed doors and shut within the mind about anxiety. My goal with these podcasts is to bring about awareness of obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD. Understand that I am not a doctor, therapist, or counselor, and the content, information, resources, and ideas that are talked about and brought up here in these podcasts are things that I have used, discovered, or have been recommended to me, and I always recommend to seek additional professional help in finding solutions for yourself. Thank you for listening and enjoy the podcast. This podcast was recorded on May 19, 2017. This is podcast number 10, called I Know Best. Now, last podcast we talked about will they call DSS, and that can be a major stressor on a parent, on a caregiver who's taking care of or caring for a person with OCD, and really it goes into other issues. But when I talked about the fear of calling DSS, and how that plays on a parent's mind, another part of it that really can weigh on a parent's mind, that can work on, splitting up parents and dividing them, is this idea that I think I know the better way to solve this. No, I think I know the better way to solve this. It's contentious between parents because what's going on in the parent's mind, from what I know from personal and from what I would do, the work I do with clients, is this divide in thinking. One believing that they should go down this route and another believing they should go down this route. One parent not believing that it's a real scenario, that this just needs to be disciplined, or this child needs to be disciplined, or that they're smart enough they should be able to get past this. Or with OCD especially, what I find is the theory or the thought that this is ridiculous. These thoughts that this person is having, this child is having, is irrational. It doesn't make any sense and non-logical. They should just be able to get over it. They should just be able to realize how stupid it is and get over it. Especially as you get into a child that's a teenager and that's older, that may be even an adult. And at that point you think, well, they should be able to see through this. And that's not how the mind of an OCD person works. They don't realize how illogical those thoughts are. When we were in the midst of it, I used to call it the most illogical logic there was, because my daughter really felt strongly that these were the rules. These were the way that it was supposed to be going. These thoughts that she had were true and factual, and that's what she was going to follow. No matter what I said or my wife said, that didn't make the difference. And so, like I say, parents can get that thought in mind, be stubborn in mind, because they really think that, or because they're tired of dealing with it, or they just want it to end and they think the child or the person should be able to do it themselves. They don't want to mess with it. It's too much, because it is very overpowering. It has the effects of hopelessness, and the effects of overwhelmness, and it has the effects of I can't deal with this, or the effects of it's too big for me to deal with. And I don't think we'll ever, as parents, especially of a small child, which is what we were involved with and what I've seen in a lot of parents, is they believe that the child should be able to get past this. They want to find any cure they can. They want to get through it as fast as they can. Which makes it hard because it's not something, OCD is not something that you can get through quickly. It takes patience, energy, time, courage, all of that to make it through it. And to think that you're going to be able to do it instantly or quickly can be a real stressor, can be a real point of contention. And so you're searching and grabbing for all the miracles that might be out there. Oh, this one might be the answer. Oh, this one might be the answer. So you're taking the time and the effort and grabbing for any kind of thing that might work. And it's costing you financially. It's costing you in stress and anger because a lot of times those things don't work. And it's not just one thing. That's the other part. We tend to think that there might be this one miracle cure out there, but it's not. It's a combination. With my own family, it was a combination of many different things that took care of it, that took a piece out of it. And so what I try to do when I'm working with somebody is to get them to understand that part of it so that they can then brainstorm about it. They can then be able to put an idea out there instead of saying this is the way, but be able to say this might be a possibility and what can we do? Can we look into this? And what I do in working with parents, working with the kids, is teach a method of communication called mirroring, which allows each partner to be able to get their ideas out and be heard, not necessarily saying they're right or wrong or different or whatever, but get heard so that that message can get out there, because I think that's very important. If we feel like we're smudged down, we're pushed down, we're not allowed to voice our thoughts on it, that we're not allowed to have decisions in this process, that can be detrimental to a relationship with the couple, to the child, everything. So what I try to teach is the first is let's understand what's going on, that OCD is not something that is logical and that can't be solved through logics. And then understand what OCD really is about and what we can do about it. Then teach communications so that we can learn to communicate with each other on a even level. Teach how to then take that and to find common ground that you can work with, that you can come to a level of understanding between each other. And I find that, things like the internet can be beneficial, but also can be detrimental, because there's a lot of poor information out there, but there's also a lot of good information. So it really takes some effort to understand, and also to work with a professional to understand what's right, what's not right, what fits and what doesn't work. So, and then to do this together, no matter what, to be able to do research together, to do go through the pros and cons of it together versus your side is right, mine is wrong. To be able to brainstorm, and if you don't understand what brainstorming is, brainstorming is something you talk about in business. And I've been in business a long time, so I know that factor. Throwing out ideas, But the biggest part about this, about brainstorming, especially for parents, is to not say anything is a bad idea. To let it come out, let each partner express their beliefs, their ideas, their thoughts, and then be able to sit down and look at the pros and cons of those thoughts. Because, like I said, we have gone through numerous different miracle healing ideas to find a group that worked for us. And I say the same thing for you, is to, you're going to try things, not everything's going to work, and it's disappointing, but understand that you'll find through that process, 3, 4, 5 different things, different methods that will work. In our case, we used hypnotherapy, which actually did some good. We did the EFT, which is the process I use. We used the Alpha Stim, again, which is a device that I use and sell. We also did ERP therapy, and I don't think I can emphasize this enough, how important that ERP, exposure response prevention therapy, plays in getting through OCD. It played a major role for us. And I tied in things like the EFT and the device to help us get through it. So, and then on top of that, we did medical, we did homeopathic, natural. So we probably used 7, 8 different things in the whole process of healing this. So again, and some of those ideas were mine, and some of them were my wife's. Probably more from her, I will say that. She's a better researcher than I am. But we both brought things into it, and when we were able to look at common ground, look at and talk to each other through it, is when we were able to actually get through it. So it's very important to be able to, everybody be able to get out their thoughts, and to be able to find a common ground, brainstorm, and work through it as a couple. The worst thing you can do is be split at that time, because the child really gets the worst of that. And it's probably based on ego. I have the right ideas, you don't, kind of attitude. So, and I understand too that is very difficult when you are tired, when you are feeling hopeless, when this child is coming at you, or this person is coming at you with just this total anxiety. It can be very difficult to do. But that's where it takes some humbling and some stepping out of that, stepping above that, and saying, okay, for the best interest of our child, we have to be able to do this. So I hope this helps in these ideas to understand that you really want to be able to work with your partner to resolve this, to find common ground, to find common language, to find common heart. Because this is your daughter. And I go through this a lot in my talks, is that it's very important to understand that this is still your child, whether it's your daughter or your son. And remember that this is the loving little person that you brought into the world, that you love dearly, and that there's a separation, that the other part is the OCD, not the child. And so in doing that and always remembering that, it might help you to find the common ground, to be able to brainstorm, to be able to talk to each other, to mirror that conversation. And I can help in that factor. I do work with, I do coach on OCD. I coach on ERP. I coach on the mirroring process and getting through the stress of this. So again, I hope this helps, and I thank you. This concludes this podcast. Please remember to leave comments for me, because that really helps me to understand what you're looking for and helps give me fodder for the next possible podcast. Also, I'd love to hear your invisible wheelchair story if you're willing to share it. If you are, feel free to go to invisiblewheelchair.com and click on Tell Your Story. Now, if you've heard these things and you feel like you need further assistance or some help in what you're going through, and you want to spend some time with me working through those issues, then feel free to book a session at focusedhealthyfamily.com or familyocd.com, or simply call me at 704-562-1630. Finally, don't forget there is a tap-in recording following this podcast you may want to take advantage of. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast and will join me for the next one. Remember, keep tapping, talking, and transcending your life into new heights. Thank you, and have a great day.